The Gulf Coast Senators are united today across party lines to announce the introduction of the Restore Act. This bill will dedicate 80% of the Clean Water Act penalties that are going to be charged to BP to restore the Gulf Coast. It will provide needed resources to the Gulf Coast states to start recovery immediately, both environmental recovery and economic recovery. It establishes the Gulf Coast Ecosystem Restoration Council, which is a joint federal-state council that will direct the spending of much of these funds, and it will establish a long-term science and fisheries endowment, the first time ever such a fund has been created in the Gulf. And I want to particularly thank Senator Nelson from Florida for his leadership in creating this fisheries endowment that all of us are proud to support. I want to just give a few stats and then turn it over to Senator Shelby for people to really understand what's at stake, at least from Louisiana's perspective. Louisiana is a great state that sits in the middle of our country, due south. We have lost 1,900 square miles of land since 1930, the size of the state of Rhode Island. There is the most aggressive, most frightening erosion of land in the entire continent of the United States is happening at the mouth of the Mississippi River, which is the Great Delta, which actually formed our state and parts of other states. We lose 25 square miles of wetlands each year and a football-sized field every 30 minutes. So this press conference may last 30 minutes. We will lose a football field size of land. We have 10 million people that live in the Gulf of Mexico, approximately, from Texas to Florida. These are hardworking citizens. They deserve the very best efforts of our federal government. Today, they are seeing, hopefully, some of those efforts. 30% of the commercial fisheries in the United States comes from the shores of our state. We have a $1.7 billion economic impact just recreational fishing alone. 30% of the nation's crude oil supply and 34% of natural gas comes from this area of our country. And I might add that $3 trillion is contributed to the national economy by these Gulf Coast states. And finally, 17% of the national GDP comes from the Gulf Coast. So as I said, it's not in the direct interest of the people in California, which is so impressive that Senator Boxer has stood with us as strongly as she has. But it most certainly is in the indirect interest of every citizen in the United States to want to see the Gulf Coast be strengthened and flourish and use the penalties that BP, the polluter in this case, is going to have to pay to direct those penalties to restore this great ecosystem. I want to single out a few of the organizations that have been so supportive: the National Audubon Society, the Nature Conservancy, the Oceans Conservancy, the National Wildlife Federation, the Environmental Defense Fund, and Oxfam America. In addition, there are many industry groups that are very supportive of what we're doing, and we enjoy the support of all, the majority of the Gulf Coast governors and many elected officials in the region. So we're very, very proud of that.